Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So Mike Girardi of the NFL Network recently spoke to a couple defensive coaches, right? Defensive coaches in the league that actually went up against the Jets offense last year. He took to Twitter, kind of talked a little bit about some of the conversations between him and the two defensive coaches, and it was primarily focused around Zach Wilson. Okay, so I have the tweets right here. We're going to go through it bit by bit and kind of just, share our thoughts, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. So with that being said, let's take a look at these tweets. So he starts off by saying Zach Wilson spoke with a pair of defensive coaches who faced him last year on different teams. Very few guys can generate that kind of whip, which is why he can fling it off platform. I'd actually like to see him do that more instead of sitting in the pocket as much. I actually agree with that. That was one of the beauties of Zach Wilson as a prospect. Yes, he did fit the West Coast system coming out of BYU. They did a lot of similar stuff with the pre-snap motion, with quick, easy, short pass, really efficient in the passing game, getting the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands quickly and effectively. But when Zach Wilson was in that third, or really when the BYU offense was in that third and long, or they had to make a play deep down the field, Wilson could scamper around, extend the play, and just wing it, right? We saw that in the Titans game where he rolled out to the right and just with a flick of the wrist, hit Corey Davis in stride, pretty tight coverage deep down the field. And personally, I do think Wilson looked a little bit better outside the pocket as opposed to being inside the pocket last season. And it's completely normal, right? Completely understandable. This is a guy, whenever you're talking about a rookie quarterback here, not only is it their first time in the NFL, but they're experiencing a major talent jump. They're going up against players that they've never played against, schemes that they've never went up against. The schemes are so much more complex at the NFL level. Of course, it makes logical sense that a mobile quarterback would feel and look a little bit better outside the pocket with a little bit more breathing room. He doesn't have defensive tackles and defensive ends breathing down his neck, and blitz is coming from all over the place. Of course it makes sense. Okay, but the last point here, where he's referencing that he would like to see Wilson maybe outside the pocket more as opposed to sitting in the pocket. It's tough because you look at that system, the Mike LaFleur system, and really like West Coast systems as a whole. Derek Carr, the Raiders, Matt Stafford, LA Rams, before that Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo. All of these guys win inside the pocket. Okay, so my mindset is a better offensive line, a better wide receiving room, a better running back room, a completely revamped tight end room, and with Zach going into year 2 of the same system, Lawrence doesn't have that luxury. Justin Fields doesn't have that luxury. Two brand new head coaches have to take the playbook year 1 and just trash it and have to learn something completely new. It's not ideal. Sam Darnold a couple years ago going from Bowles to Adam Gase is just not a good situation for a rookie quarterback. Zach Wilson doesn't have to deal with that. So my mindset is that Wilson will take another step inside the pocket. Things will start to slow down a little bit for him, and of course the added benefit of talent around him. I do think that Wilson inside the pocket will improve next season, and I'm looking at the outside of the pocket stuff as almost icing on the cake. The first coach goes on to say he took a ton of sacks, too many. Don't be afraid to roam some. Maybe he didn't think he could because he got hurt early in the year, but I'd encourage him to do it a little bit more, especially if the line doesn't improve drastically. So I would agree with this. Think about the responsibilities of a defensive coordinator out there in the week of preparation leading up to a game against a mobile quarterback. Think about all of the question marks that are going to be going through his head. And look, this could be at any level. High school, college, it doesn't even have to be a top 5 quarterback in football. Tons of questions go through your head. How do we keep this guy in the pocket? Do we keep a quarterback spy on him at all times? On third downs, right? Third and mediums, third and shorts, do we drop a strong safety down so just in case the quarterback keeps it and goes, we have a guy that's athletic enough that can keep up with him, that's not afraid of contact, that could bring him down in open field? Will our defensive players start questioning things just because of the mobility? Read option. If Tom Brady's handing a ball off from the shotgun position, is Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger last year, so many different pocket passers, if they're in the shotgun and they're handing the ball off, chances are it's probably just going to be going to the running back. But if Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, if they are doing that same exact, everything's the same formation, everything, there's a chance they could keep it, pull it, and get a quick 10, a quick 20. Okay, that added layer of, I don't want to say fear, but it's just a big question mark. What's going to happen with his legs? Mobility. and the part where he talks about, him wanting to roam a little bit more. Think about the quarterbacks that do roam. We talked about a lot of them just there. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, Kyler Murray. Pretty good company, to say the least, right? Another layer that we could just stack on top of all these points. Think about the pressure that it puts on the secondary. If you have a mobile quarterback running around, scampering around, eluding defenders in the backfield, think about what's going through the minds of corners in safeties. They're back there for 6 seconds, 7 seconds, running around, just extending a play. Now all of a sudden the routes are done. The routes are completely over with. Now the wide receivers, it's just backyard football. And it's tough. It is really, really tough for secondary members to be expected to guard NFL wide receivers, NFL tight ends for that long. So it puts a ton of pressure on the defense just by having a mobile quarterback. So I think this first coach makes a lot of really, really good points. The second coach here, they need Becton to be their left tackle. With Tomlinson in place, Zach will be a lot safer in the pocket, and clearly they're betting on Becton. Otherwise, they would have taken one of the top tackles at spot number 4. I completely agree with that. We actually talked about that a lot. You guys made a ton of great points. If the Jets organization, if this coaching staff, if Joe Douglas, if they didn't believe in Mekhi Becton, they probably would have went with Evan Neal or Charles Cross or Ike Ekwonu with that 4th overall pick. Every single offensive lineman was on the board, and Joe Douglas, the former O-lineman, passed on all of them. He goes on to say about Zach, his arm is eye-popping, but he misses a lot of layups. He's got to clean up his footwork, and he's also got to dramatically improve how he sees the defense. They gave him some answers last year. He just didn't use them. Look at how many sacks he took. So I think this pretty much describes how I was feeling after games early in the season. We would see the arm strength, bullets over the middle of the field, sometimes when he would uncork one deep down the field, off of play action. I mean, the guy throws frozen ropes out there. The guy throws missiles, but he does miss a lot of layups, or at least he did last season. The slants where they would be behind wide receivers, a quick little one, like a half step drop, 2-step drop. It would just be, behind guys multiple times. Screens as well, screens to the outside where the passes wouldn't even get to the target. They would be skipping on the turf. It's like, what happened there? And, Zach Wilson isn't in a position like Davis Mills, where he was a middle round pick, where they're just hoping to get something out of him. And hey, Tyrod Taylor, he's down with an injury, you gotta play. No, this is the 2nd overall pick. So to kind of see all of, again, the missed layups here, it was kind of concerning. Fortunately, towards the tail end of the season, that a lot of that stuff got cleaned up. And, we saw Mike White go out there and execute the offense. Same thing with Joe Flacco, and even Josh Johnson to a certain degree, but cleaning up the layups, cleaning up the easy stuff. Imagine if Zach Wilson completed all that stuff. How much better his statistics would look this season. Last season, completion percentage, yards, maybe even touchdowns, like all those numbers would be going up here, okay, if you just take the easy layups and you complete them. He goes on to say the added weapons should help. He was throwing to some Jags a year ago, or JAGs. I'm not sure what the context of Jags is in this, but I can assume that he's talking about wide receivers that might not be as talented across the NFL. I'd be surprised if he doesn't look better this year. What's his ceiling? Too early to tell. They were really bad last year, and he was bad with them. That part makes it an unfair evaluation. He said they played a ton of man versus the Jets and Wilson last year. They didn't have too many guys who could beat it, especially when Moore and Davis were missing time, and Zach would just stand in there and hope someone would break free. Garrett Wilson and the 2 tight ends should help. Okay, so this comes back to the first point that we made, where we were talking about Joe Douglas just adding talent. Are we better on the offensive line? Yes. How about wide receiver? Yes. Tight end? Yes. Running back? Yeah. List goes on. And also the defense. I think that's going to be another underrated benefit for the Jets this upcoming season. If you're putting out the worst defense in football, that's already a tough position. I don't care who's playing quarterback. If you're playing catch up, if you don't have faith in the defense, if you don't think, you're going to have an opportunity to be tied in the 3rd quarter, tied in the 4th quarter, or even at the end of one, you're going to be down 2 scores. That's a tough sight. It's tough to kind of balance that in your mind. As a young quarterback, you already have so much going through your head. Guys are hurt. Guys are injured. They're missing time. That's a lot That's a lot of mental noise for Zach Wilson here. So I think really the bottom line here, well, number one, I think it's really cool that both coaches here are defensive guys that actually coached and game planned against Zach Wilson a year ago. Okay, so you do put a little bit more stock, a little bit more weight into what these two are saying. And then number two, I think really what it comes down to, it was a difficult situation. Simple as that. A rookie quarterback with not a lot of help around him, a super young football team, a rookie coaching staff, injured players all over the place, the league's worst ranked defense, a not so good offensive line. You know, first year playing, no time on the bench, so he's not like a like a Trey Lance situation or anything like that. No, it's just you are the starter, you are going to play. That's a tough spot. It's a tough spot. So, you know, again, with the additions to the roster, with him going into year two of the same offense, with the coaching staff going into their second year, I think things will really start to slow down, and the Jets should, I'm hoping, look a lot more consistent this upcoming season as opposed to last year. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What's your take on both of these defensive coaches? I wish I knew who they were here, but how do you think Zach Wilson's going to look next season? Will he take that massive step forward, or will he look like the same player, you know, as last season? So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and as always, go Jets.